Alright, so I got a 2008 Chevy 2500 HD here. I was trying to do injectors, and there didn't seem to be like any videos anywhere on how to do them on this engine. So first off, I was already doing the water pump. Alright, so I decided to just take the whole front end apart, make my life a heck ton easier to get up in here and mess with the injectors back in there and the injectors back in there. Alright, so since I couldn't find any videos on literally anything on how to do this myself, maybe you guys can find something else, I don't know. I just had to wing it. So maybe to help some other people out, I'm going to tell you how I did it. So first off, from the very front of the engine up here, there's a bracket here, bracket here. You can take this piece off, you can get to the water thermostat housing behind it. So if you need to get to your water thermostat housing, change your thermostat out, I'm pretty sure that's how you do it, because it goes right here to your water pump. Alright, so you take this guy off of here. There's a little 8mm bolt back in there for your hose clamp, that's the word. And you've got a T30 here, you can unbolt there. You got a few bolts down here, you can take your bracket off here, and then there's several bolts here that are 12mm, you can take those out. Then back in here, there's this line here, alright, your other water line that goes to your radiator, which I've already taken the line out, as you can see. Obviously there's literally nothing there. So there's a little bolt down in here, and you'll unbolt that. You can stick a screwdriver between the bolt, between the bracket and the housing down in there. Sorry, I gotta get a stinking flashlight. Alright, so I got a flashlight. Cool, so now you can see that bolt that I was talking about. Right there. Yeah, right there. So there's that bolt there. You'll unbolt it, make sure you don't drop it, lose it. It's kind of important. And then when you pop that line out of there, before you do that, there's the bracket for that line is right here. Oh my gosh. If I move these cables, you can kind of see. Okay, I'm just hopping up in here. This is a pain. Alright, so there's two brackets. You can kind of see the bolt down there. Sorry, I can't point. My hands are taken up. You can see the bolt. There's a bolt there and a bolt there to take that off. You'll need to unplug those cables, move them out of the way, and then you'll need to take that bracket off for the cables, and then you'll be able to get to that bolt there. You also want to take this pipe, which, I mean, I already removed the intercooler and everything, so that was pretty easy, straightforward. So unbolt those. You can pull the line out. If you don't have it, your front end taken apart like I do, okay, well, you can probably just find a way to fish the whole pipe out of here. Alright, so that's taken care of. Next, this stupid electrical box back here has a slide that, you know, nobody ever tells you about. Right in here, back here, there's a T, and you'll pull on that, and your whole piece starts to lift up. Keep pulling on it a little bit more. There you go. And you can unplug it. Right there. Okay. is. So you can unplug it, and then you can unplug that, and then you can get to all your bolts there. There's several bolts and brackets behind, bolts to your bracket behind that, so don't worry about it. Unbolt it, it's not a big deal. Then plug it all back in. Then you've got a line there. The bolt, stupid bolt right there, that's attached to that whole bracket plate behind the electrical box. You want to unbolt that. There's another bolt down in there, you can kind of see. Oh my gosh, there you go. On the secondary line there. You want to unbolt that as well. Don't lose those bolts. Those are small, long, and specific to those little brackets to hold them in place. So once all that's out of the way, you got this little, okay, fairly large black line, oil line there. Has one bolt on it. You can kind of see it right there. You want to unbolt that as well. Kind of move that out of the way. Make sure you put a paper towel or something down in the hole so dirt doesn't get in there. In addition, when you're doing all this, you want to get a 19 millimeter line wrench for your injector lines, and you want to undo all of your lines. You can see kind of one of them there, but that's one of the main fuel lines to the fuel rail or return. I don't know which, I can't remember. So you'll want to undo all of those except that one, all four on this side, because this is the driver's side. And once all those are loose, go to each injector, which you can see one right there. Yep, right there. Each one of those injectors has a line on it. There, you can see the line coming off of it right there. Each one of those injectors has a line on it, and that's a 17 line wrench. And you want to pull all those lines out as much as possible, as much as you can. And then your injectors will be free to move except for their return line, which is on the tops of them. So those are little clips. You'll have to pull each clip out. I think that's kind of obvious, but pull each little clip out. Don't lose them. If you buy a new set of injectors, which is probably why you're doing the injectors, you know, it's should be self-explanatory. They should come with it, but even so, try and not lose them. I've lost them before. So you'll pull that line off of pretty much the top of each injector, and there's a little plug on the side of your injector there. If I can zoom. Can I zoom? Nope, can't zoom. Okay, whatever. So you want to unplug it, and then once all that is ready to go, you can see I've already taken the fender well out right there. So if you take your fender well out, you go in here, you can see your injector holders, because your injectors are not screwed in or anything. You just have holders. Each one of those is a 12 millimeter bolt, torqued to 22 foot-pounds. There's one there. With that pipe in the way, it's kind of hard to see, but there's one back in there. One there. Oh, come on. There you go. One there. And one there. So that's your last one. So you want to get all of those out. After that's done, I'm trying to do all this by memory. Once all that's out of the way, I think you should be able to put a screwdriver, because those little holders will be loose. You can put a screwdriver in each one, and if all else goes well, you can use the screwdriver to pry out each of those injectors. So you'll pry up on it a little bit, and then you can pull that tab out, and then you can pull the rest of the injector out through the top. So that's the way I did it. It's kind of a mess, I know. It's hard to explain to an extent. You can see one of the stinking injectors down in there. It's hard to explain, you know, because all of this is in the way and I've already done it. There's your injector. But honestly, it's at least a lot more information than I had when I started. So, anyways, there you go. I would also recommend, just for the sake of ease of access, taking your alternator off. So there's a plug on the back side of it right there. You unplug that, 3 bolts, and then you can stick a pry bar in right in here and pry the whole thing out. I personally, I just left it hang the whole time I did this. I just set her down here and she just hung there. As far as how much of the front end you'll have to take apart to get to this, I don't know, because I did it for the water pump and that, so I just did it all. If you're wondering what size these are to take the pipe off, it's pretty sure it's 7/16. 7/16, you got a lot of 12s and a lot of 10s. And I'm pretty sure these are 15s. And that's pretty much it on the driver's side. I will try and make another video, maybe even while I have it apart, of the passenger side, because it really does look a heck ton easier to do on this side. I know it doesn't look like it from this angle, but like all of these lines are just lines that I can pretty much easily take brackets off of and move out of the way. So no need to mess with the alternator, or really I don't think I'll have to mess with any of this. Yeah, anyways, as far as how long it took me, a lot longer than it should have, honestly. I wish it wasn't so long, but hey, you know, do what you gotta do. Anyways, hope this helps. These guys, to get those out, are an absolute pain in the butt. Oh my. It's got stuff on it. Anyways, these are a pain in the butt. These tabs will pop all the way out, and I honestly just used a screwdriver and pried in here and pried it all the way over, and it finally popped out of there. I did keep this green tab. There's another green tab down here that is gone, but it's still plugged in, so I'm not gonna care. You see that all this plastic stuff is worn off of a lot of places, and that's because the truck has, you know, over 250,000 miles on it. But other than that, really, it's in decent shape. One other thing, sorry, it's a side note, but it's only a, 14-minute video. Anyways, there's an O-ring on your water pump line that it was a little bit difficult to try and put that back in there because it was expanded, because it was so old. So because I was already doing the water pump down there, I already had a gasket for it, an O-ring, so I put it back on there with a new O-ring, and it wasn't a big deal. But if you have that trouble, you'll probably have to go and get yourself a new O-ring, because otherwise it just kept popping off as I tried to shove it back in there. Anyways, hope this helps. It seems random, but if you get into it and you start taking it apart, like I mentioned, you should be able to see exactly everything I was talking about. So I'm going to just end it with some couple steps. Take this off just because it's easier to get to the bolts down here. Another bolt here. Once you get over here, take these lines off. Don't forget your alternator, just because it makes everything else easier. You can do it how you want, obviously. Take these lines off, you can get to the bolts underneath for this bracket. There's 2 bolts on this bracket. They're 12mm bolts. Pull those off. All of this should be out of the way. You can pull this line off here. I recommend just taking both bolts off, and I line them to the top so it makes it easier to get to with a deep socket. And I actually had to use an open end to finish tightening it down or loosening it up. Back in there, there's 2 bolts to bolt that electrical box to the back plate. Pull those out, and then there's like 4 bolts on that back plate behind it. There's 2 lines. One of them has a bracket connected to that back plate. Pull those off. So once all that's out of the way, you can crack your lines open that go to injectors. I used my impact actually on a 19mm line wrench 1/2-inch drive to break them loose, just because it was a ton easier. And then I just took them all out by hand the rest of the way. Crack your lines and pull those off of your injectors. Pull your tabs for your return line on top of the injectors. Unplug them. Go into your fender well. And you can see all the holders for them. Pull the holders, or the bolts, because you actually should be able to have access to them by that point with some, wobble extensions. Get all those out of the way. Use a screwdriver, pop your injectors out, put your new ones in, make sure you don't get dirt on them. And that's pretty much it. All right. Thanks for watching.